Guys, we had lost sound and it was because my alarm went off. I'm pretty sure that's why, because I'm on Do Not Disturb, but I think the alarm is what kicked us off. So we're gonna wait for a second for people to jump back on. Sorry about that, guys. I never even thought about my alarm making us not have sound.
So we just started off with sound, and then, okay, what's your alarm that tripped it?
Yeah. So we're just gonna wait for a second to people, because we had a handful of people on, and then they let us know that we lost sound. I wonder if there's some kind of way to get sound back when that happens. We're just waiting for a
Probably
second.
is. What's curious is I'm on, and it doesn't show on there that we're on.
Are you watching the first one? We're trying to do this with Dan's phone too. There, now it shows it. Still waiting for a second for people to jump back on.
There you go. We got someone on.
That's you.
I am someone.
Yes, you
I'm
are
someone too.
You are someone. All right. Let me see if I can message Banjo, who is watching. Let us know once you get back on, guys.
So there must be quite a delay between when we do something.
There is a little bit, yeah, for sure. A little bit of a delay. Here we go. We are back live again. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and hopefully everybody will find us after. And again, I apologize for that. I had an alarm set to make sure I don't miss anything, and it went off while we were live. So building up confidence with your donkeys. Dan was just starting to say that it's a little bit like handling kids or helping kids become
Yeah,
brave.
and I'll just let me gobble up some of your time here. When I first heard this talk of confidence, I'm like, well, it's a wild animal. It's like really confident. It can do anything. They're not. They really need confidence and trust. They're kind of intertwined when you're together. So, think of our young children as they're learning to ride a bike. None of them really want to ride with training wheels, but they're needed, and because they know they're afraid they're going to fall, and they're really, really brave with training wheels. So, like the treats that we use as a training aid, that is training wheels. But eventually, we can take the training wheels off that bike, and little Susie or Junior can suddenly now ride that bike and maneuver and turn and go faster. And they're excited and they're confident and they want to go for bike rides. And they've kind of then at that point forgotten about the training wheels. So they really, really flourish with that confidence. So I've been there, it's like really confidence. It is very, very important. Once they are confident, I mean, confident includes trust, and their ability, they can really get a lot done. Absolutely.
So you're gonna start off with the treats, with the pay, to keep them motivated to try, and then eventually you won't need them because it's not going to be intimidated. They're going to be like, I know what to do. I've been there, done that. And they're just going to be a lot more willing when they understand.
And back in the day with when we the honks on a wild, but she was we had pretty much started zero with her. Early on, we couldn't get her to blink without treats. Really, I mean, everything, there was money involved every time we did something with her. And now, the only time I give her a treat is just to be nice, randomly. or when the farrier was here, or if I haven't worked with her feet in a while, we'll sweeten the deal with those treats just because we're dealing with back feet. But as far as
She
day to
was
day,
kicky with one of her feet. So when she
yeah,
first
yeah,
came, her back feet were, we had to scotch hobble her to be able to do it
yep,
because she came with super long feet. So
yes,
it
yeah.
was
It's
kind
an
of urgent.
emergency situation. Yeah, we brought her to a vet, and we're prepared. We were prepared to tranquilize her, to have her feet trained. Luckily, we got through it without that. But the point is, everything else required treats in the beginning. Not that she was wild, but she still kind of needed to be gentle and build trust with people. Now there's no treats for day to day doing things. She's just happy with reassurance and scratchings and pettings. But and it may be a few years yet that we still break out the oat bag when we're having her feet trimmed.
And I'm okay with that because even though feet, I don't really think of it as an obstacle, it kind of is. If they're nervous about it, it's an obstacle to them, right? So when we go to work with her feet or the farriers coming over, I want that to be a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to keep using pay for her to understand that she's finding the right answers. I'm going to keep using that pay until she's just totally scap with everything that she's doing. Like Shamus now, Shamus, boy, when does Shamus get treats? Hardly never.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly never at all. I just turned on the comments, guys, so I had forgot about
There
that
we go.
part.
Got somebody else back on now.
Yeah, somebody else is back on, so
Good.
that's good.
Welcome back.
Sorry again about losing volume there when my alarm went off. Okay, so using pay, using treats, that's going to get weaned off. And I think a lot of places where people go wrong with using pay or treats is you always pay for the same thing. That will cause problems. So at first I might pay them, like let's just say they're learning to lead. I might pay them for one step. And then later on they're gonna have to do 3 steps, and then they're gonna have to go halfway around the pen or a quarter of the pen.
Right?
Okay? And then eventually, once they have a general understanding of I want them to follow with me, then they're going to the treats will be weaned out for that as we start clearing the front and doing circles.
Yeah. You know, it just things pop in my head as we're talking here. You know, the weaning of treats off. A lot of the stuff that we want to do with them becomes muscle memory.
Yes.
You know, there's a time when they're getting their face stuffed full of oats just for looking at a trailer door. There's a time a little bit later they're getting treats just for putting a foot in a trailer. You want to graduate eventually to the point that I don't know, every third time you trailer after they're in the trailer and they're tied up, say, "Oh, hey, good job. Here's just randomly give them some treats just so they occasionally get paid. They're not expecting it. You don't want them to have. You do not want to arrive at a little spot where they won't do anything unless you pay them.
And you can teach them that if you always pay them for one step. They're smart. They're smart as whips, right? So they're going to get it. And, you know, not all of them are as smart as the next, you know, just like people, I suppose. But because there's some that from these new 8, some of them, we don't even have first touch with them, right? It's been cold and
Yeah,
just
we haven't.
the season.
They haven't gotten a lot of time.
No.
Yeah.
But when I'm down there in the pen with them, you can tell some of them are really, really smart. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So now let's say you're doing an obstacle, you want them to step onto like a little platform or onto a tire or between noodles. Ask for a little bit. Okay. What can you get them to say yes to? Don't say, so we brought Wild Donkey and Famous Shamus to a trail course. I wanted to do all 3 of them. The horseback riding club that we belong to, they do 3 a year, and we only got to 1 of them. But they had one where they had this from Asia. She uses carrots. How many a day is too much? You know, Banjo, I don't use any carrots. Carrots have a lot of sugar in them, or they convert to sugar pretty fast. So it's a really rare occasion that they get any kind of thing like that.
And actually, our kids, I've tried carrots before. That's kind of a learned treat. You know, I'm sure, go ahead and use carrots. Just
You
just
can, but
don't give them a bag of carrots. You know, a carrot or two a day isn't gonna tip them over the edge, in my opinion.
and I would watch their weight and stuff, but it's like sometimes they can have problems even if you can't see it. So I'm not, I don't think I'm against using carrots, but what we stick to is oats, like rolled or crimped oats, a low starch grain, or Timothy pellets. Now, when I'm using those rolled or crimped oats, it depends on the stage of the donk. I might put a little bit in my hand where they're getting like the amount of a dime or a quarter that's in my hand. And then other times, like Squirrel, when we started with him, he was like an alligator with his mouth. He would open it so far where I had to be really careful that I didn't get bit, not
Yeah.
because he was trying to bite. So with him, my hand was so heaping full that it would be dribbling out of my hand while I'm just holding it.
Yeah, you had sparrows running around you picking it off the ground or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like a little bunny would come and swoop in and take one. So we don't use carrots, but we're, we buy 50 or 100 pounds at a time of rolled and crimped oats.
Yeah.
Or you get one or the other depending on what you're finding.
And let me go back to the carrots real quick. You know, for us, we do very limited experience with carrots. I mean, I have given them carrots maybe 5 times in my life. It's just impractical for us to keep refrigerated carrots down at training pens. You know, our snacks are in garbage cans with lids, keep the mice out. You know, we have nail pouches we wear on our belt to fill them on up. So, I mean, don't let them live on carrots, but I think a carrot every now and then is probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've even got out watermelon because it's supposed to be pretty funny. I've seen horses eat watermelon. It's pretty funny. But other than like Shamus, most of ours were like,
They're like, no, we're not eating watermelon.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah. So if you do it once in a while, it's fine. But when you're doing training, like if I'm going on a training session, I'm going to be going through probably pretty easily 3 cups of rolled and crimped oats.
Yeah.
We didn't think about oats. That's a good idea. Good info. We use them because the last owner used them. Yeah, sure. And she
Sure.
loves them. So I'm not against them having a carrot sometimes. Make sure when you're going to get oats that you're using rolled or crimped, not whole. Whole is bad for them.
That's what. Yep. And if you can find, if you can't find the rolled or crimped oats, we discovered Timothy pellets about 6 months ago. And all the data shows that that's a perfect item to give to donkeys as a treat, and they really love it. I mean, they're pretty big chunks, like half the size of an M&M. But it seems to be a really high value treat that it's got an aroma to it. They can smell it from a few feet away and stuff.
I don't think I've had this happen with any of the donkeys that we're training, but I have with some of the Mustangs. So it could happen with the donkey just the same. Sometimes you have a treat that is so exciting to them, they cannot think about what you're asking. All they can think about is the treat that you're going to give them, the pay.
Your model student, for our model student in a training pen who's been accustomed to eating oats or Timothy pellets, if you break out like sweet feed, and we had sweet feed for the Mustangs because they can have sweet feed whereas donkeys can't. You use sweet feed on a donkey and it's like overstimulation. It is so important. They're like crackheads. They just got to have that. They get pushy. So a little bit lower value treat like a Timothy pellet. Where it's worth eating, but they're not going to get obsessed and just get goofy over it.
Yeah. So I would pay attention to whatever you're going to use. Pay attention to how excited they are. Are they willing to pay attention to you and still happy to have the pay? Or are they just focused on it? So with that, like when we brought home Shamus, we didn't know what we were doing. I would come in the house crying because I'm like, I'm never going to get this donkey to do anything. And then like when we went to this obstacle course, they had the really tall, like I don't know if it was 10 or 15 feet tall, probably 15 nonetheless. And then they had pool noodles hanging down from it. Now, Shamus walked through those. I had to encourage him a little bit, but that has more to do with kids riding them than it does anything else. But Wild Donkey she took a step at that and she looked at it and she's just like, yeah, that doesn't seem safe to me. And then somebody else came to kind of like part open the noodles. We didn't go through it that day, and that's okay. Okay. Don't get upset if you can't get the obstacle done right then, especially when you put a timeline. You know, you got 20 other people waiting to go through the obstacle course and you have a donkey that's not ready for it. It's okay, guys.
You know, I mean, we had honk there, but I didn't participate in trail class. So I was over there just going through like the bridge and the tires and all the other stuff, and I'm like, huh. Wonder what you'll do with those dang. So it looked like a big giant gallows with like a dozen pool noodles hanging. You had to ride through the pool noodles. It kind of reminded me of like riding through an old car wash. I remember lining up a honk, the mammoth donk, on that to ride through it. And she like walked towards it and she lost her steering and took a right and said, yeah, it's gonna be easier if we go around it. So that's the only time I work with her on pool noodles. But that tells me that's something that
It's going to be a fun thing to work on,
it
right?
is. It is.
So another thing that you can do to help your donkey have confidence with that, Dan's donk, honk the donk. We're going across a bridge, right? The first bridge that she's ever gone that's not like a training bridge. So there's the river running underneath, and there's
It's a group
wagons.
ride. There's a dozen of us.
Yeah. And Dan's going and he's doing pretty well. And I'm like, wow, check her out. She doesn't care at all. And then bam, she just comes to a stop. Shamus almost ran into him.
Traffic jam on the bridge, a third of the way across.
And she's like, I'm not. She's turning around. 1,200 pounds. I am turning around. You're not going to stop her. So don't fight them. Like, they're afraid. They're not stopping because they're like, well, I'm going to show you. They're stopping because they're afraid. So we got off the bridge. It was Dan and I, and then the people that were behind us. We were not the last in line, even though the rest of them were horses. And we waited for some cars to pass, and then I went first because Shamus he doesn't care. He's already been there and done that. And then I sang Soft Kitty. If you guys ever watch
Big Bang Theory.
Thank you. Yes.
Soft kitty, warm kitty,
Little ball of fur.
So she sang Lost Kitty right behind me.
In front of you.
Yeah. Were you in front of me? Oh, that's right.
When we switched, yeah.
Yeah, to kind of, for entertainment purposes, and it was, because it was entertaining, it was relaxing for me.
Yep.
Honk picked up on it. I'm relaxed, and she's like, well, I don't have to do this again. So she went ahead and powered through and went over that bridge.
So that kind of brings us to energy, guys. My singing to Dan and Honk had nothing to do with like it's not because of my voice, trust me. It had to do with, it controls your heart rate. And when your heart rate gets stable, which it has to while you're singing, then your animal says, oh, they're stable, they're not nervous, I'm okay. And then it made Dan, like he said, silly. So there's actually like science behind why I was singing for Dan and
Yeah.
Honk.
And the psychology of myself going, where are we going? Oh, we're going to cross the bridge. I'm like, ooh, we've never done a bridge. I'm running a group ride. I wonder how this is going to go. Well, okay. The bridge has got really low sides. And, it's maybe only a 15-foot drop, but it's still pretty substantial. And there's planks running across the bridge that the car tires go on. And there's boards underneath that. So it's a pretty, for a public road, for cars to drive around, it's kind of a sketchy bridge. So I was a little bit apprehensive about it, and that probably contributed a lot to Honk's like, you know what, my rider's pulse rate's high, and I smell some sweat. Maybe this isn't such a good idea, but the soft kitty thing, when we tried it again,
It works.
it worked.
Sing
Yes.
to them. So when you're doing that stuff, we were doing the Ty Evans. So my mentor is Ty Evans. We're doing the clinic here in Roundup, and we're doing the cattle. Now, I don't know anything about cattle, guys, and they have horns like that protrude, and they could stab my donkey. But I have to ride between the.
They were roping steers.
Oh yeah, I was scared, right? So I need to take Wild Donkey through them, and she's afraid, and I'm afraid. But what I noticed, and this would help somebody on a bridge or any obstacle, I stopped looking at the steers, the cows, and I looked at something far away beyond them. And when I did that, I stopped hesitating.
Because you were focusing on the bigger picture beyond the black devils in front of you. Yeah, they had horns. They were pretty spicy roping steers, probably about 400 pounds.
And that was our first experience with, well, we've done some cattle sorting, but that's like 3 seconds and you're done. So yeah, focusing on something beyond it, not just the tire or the obstacle or walking through the noodles, and that's going to help. And then like under the bridge scenario and under the cattle scenario, there was no pay rewards, guys. The reward was leaving them alone, right? So she walks through them, and then she gets to stand there and not do anything. Or Dan went across the bridge, and he's not steering and asking her to go faster or slow down. He's just letting her go. So that's a pretty big thing for this. Elsa asks, how is their memory compared to a horse or scares them? She's curious. Their memories are situations in general. So they compare a donkey's memory to that of an elephant. They have a very, very good memory.
Yeah, so if it was scary this time and you can't go past it, a couple of years from now, it's still gonna be scary and you can't get past it. So it isn't like forget about it, we'll try it again. Just think outside the box and find a way to get past it.
So doing that, like, let's just say the tire is the obstacle. Well, what if you let them eat grass next to the tire? Or you don't need to make them work hard, but maybe you have them do some circles, clear the front, do some circles, roll the hinds, and then you let them rest over by the scary thing. Okay? So now you're taking away its power of being scary. I was doing that with trying to get her to cross the tarp. And when you're near the scary thing, you don't want to apply pressure. You want to leave them alone. And
Right.
that's hard. And I did it wrong with I don't even know if I've released that video or not. I might have deleted it off my phone, but
The memory question here, I'm whiteboarding during the live. The first year we did a parade 2 years. And the second year we did it twice. But the year one, I'm like, we did a little parade down at J. Clark Mule Days, which is really a small parade. And then we came home, and 3 weeks later we did the 4th of July parade on Honk, who had only been ridden under saddle really for about a month, maybe a 6, 8, 12 rides underneath her. And for her, going down Main Street, there was nothing scarier than manhole covers. You got the great big ones that like a man can go down, and then there's the small ones they use for like turning. There's big ones and little ones, and they were scary to her. She would spook that first year as much as a donkey can spook. I mean, it wasn't scary, but it was annoying. And then this year, and I'm thinking of this as the question was asked, she would automatically get out of the way of manhole covers when they were still 100 feet away. They didn't sneak up on her, okay? So she remembered they were there because it's the same parade, same building, same starting, everything. But she was not going to get surprised by manhole covers. And so that's why sometimes she looked like maybe she had too many beers or something. She would move a little bit ahead of time rather than react when she got there. So I think that's a demonstration of the quality of their memory.
it is. And Shamus, the first year that Shamus did the parade, so I ponied him and had our son riding with, and he was only like 8 years old or so at the time. And once we were done with the parade part, I gave him the reins and I wasn't steering him anymore because he knows how to steer. I just didn't want to have him in that environment on his own completely. Well, the first manhole cover that Shamus noticed was when we were all done, and boy, did that donkey move, a whole 5 feet really fast. But in the years, he's rode it 3 or 4 years now.
At least, yeah.
And he's only reacted to the manhole cover one time. The rest of the times he doesn't care. The first year was the only year.
He's a smart guy.
He is smart. Yeah. He's really smart. Okay, so those are some tips. Let's look at my notes to see what else I'm forgetting. Now put your questions in there. Keep doing that, guys, because we absolutely want to answer them. Oh, we were going to talk too about the Golden Girl. So the Golden Girls were the first 3 wild donkeys that we brought home as Valhalla, Grace, and Wild Donkey Awe. And they each have their own playlist. So you guys can go check out the playlist, and there's lots of different videos. When we would bring them out of the wild pen the first time, the gate has a bar at the bottom of it. Oh my gosh, it could be 5-10 minutes, and we would get them over that bar.
Yeah, the training session wasn't like getting over the bar and going for a walk. Like the lesson was getting 1 foot to step across that bar. Because they'd lived in the training pens for a couple, 3 months, whatever it was at that point in time. they were cautious. So
They're very cautious.
yeah, then the next time we would try, literally the next session, maybe even the next day. It was a big deal when they got foot number 2 to step outside that gate.
Now, when we would do that, we would get them to come out of the gate, and maybe we wanted to go on a 2-minute walk. But we got them all 4 feet over the gate, and they were like so worked up. Like their body was tense, their eyes were plastered, their ears weren't moving. They got the giant parrot lip, and we're like, you know what? They're really, really stressed. Let's just bring them back in the pen. Okay. So then you can give them a 3 or 5 minute break, and then do it again, and then you can go farther.
And I think the second time, this was Valhalla, I believe it was time number 2, not the first time, but the second time we got foot number 2 over the green bar. I think at that time we were able to continue out and do a little circle and go back in.
And you don't think about stepping over a gate as an obstacle, but for these guys it is. So if you're dealing with a wild donkey or just a really nervous donkey, the obstacles, they seem negligible to us, but to them they're not.
And the gate we're talking about is just like if you go to your farm and ranch store, wherever you live, and you buy like a 4-foot or a 6-foot ride-through gate. It's a big square, okay, and there's a metal bar at the bottom, and the door's just above that, and it opens and closes there. It's that bar that's usually down buried in the grass. That was like a Grand Canyon to them.
It was. Now, with those guys, we got them haltering, accepting touch, leading, where it was just kind of like pull and slack. We used a lot of food to get them to follow us and lead. And then later on, I'm like, well, why can't I start teaching them to clear the front now? So then on the next, I don't know if it was the next batch or the batch after that, I started teaching them to clear the front as soon as they were leading, as soon as they were accepting a halter and like leading just a little bit in the pen. I didn't practice walking around in circles in the pen or anything. We started clearing the front, doing centered circles, and rolling the hinds. And those next sets of donkeys, they didn't care about leaving the wild pen.
They didn't. And that clearing the front, MaryJo's got videos on that. That is a huge tool in your toolbox for quality leading. Absolutely. It's just a regular. I don't know what the psychological thing is, but it's like you're building a relationship with the donkey and a lead rope. Okay, so it works.
So you're offering them a good deal. You put your hand where you want their foot to go. That's the good deal. With a wild, like a truly wild donkey, I'm going to count to like 10 when they're like brand new. And then it'll decrease kind of quick down to 5, 1 1,000, 2 1,000. With Shamus, it's 1 1,000 because he knows, although he likes to play games. And then I have to fix things that were done, right? So, because I make all of my mistakes. What are you looking for in behavior from the animal before you move to the next separate behavior to train?
That's a great question.
It is. I would say just you don't have to have perfection. So if we think we have to have perfection, they're going to get so bored. Ty Evans says you can't overdo it, but you can overdose it. Okay. So if you have a headache, you can take Advil, and then later on, if you still have a headache, you can take Advil. But if you take too much Advil at once, you're going to be in trouble. The same thing for the donkeys. Spend a little bit of time and move on to something else. Don't overdose them. They'll hate you.
Yeah, and when they're comfortable doing it. So I'm going to use math as an analogy as to when do you move on to your next task you're trying to teach them. So let's use math as an analogy. We're going to count from 1 to 10. Okay? You want them to be able to count to 1, 2, 3 without thinking too long and very comfortable and not flinching. You want them to easily do 1, 2, 3 before you ask them to count to 4. And to make sure that now they're good to count to 4 before you go to number 5. So you don't want to go to the next step after the first time. Let's say you don't want to go to 5 the first time they counted to 4. You want them to get pretty handy at counting to 4, and then you go to 5. Mm-hmm. And so the things to look for, how do I know they're comfortable? Well, that's a good question. They did it without flinching. They did it relatively quickly in donkey time. I mean, it wasn't 20 minutes, but maybe it took 2 minutes to get the message across. And they're doing it repetitively. They're not getting lucky and guessing. They actually know what you're asking. Then you can move on to the next level.
So when I'm working on clearing the fronts, my goal is to do like, I don't know, 20 times, clear it 10 times on each side. I don't always get that at first because they're too nervous when they're wild. I mean, they're still nervous about the flag. And if
So
I'm
what,
gonna
you
eat
might
them.
get 4 on one side, 7 on the other, but
I
your
might,
goal is 10?
I might get 2 on each side and that's it.
That's it. And then the
Because they're
donkey's,
overwhelmed, I need to release that pressure.
yeah, your donkey at that point, when she's talking about, is used up. He's got nothing left to give. He can't think no more. He's overwhelmed.
Remember, once they go to freeze mode, you're done. Until they come out of it, which there's no way to know how long. Now, I might do the clearing the front 2 times on each side and then ask for some forward movement. And that might only be a step or 2, but I'm still changing the question a little bit so they're not bored. But we also need to do enough so that they're not confused. Like, we want them to learn that when I put my hand here, I want you to move your foot there. And we can't just do it twice and then expect them to know. If you guys watched the episode where I talked about my earbuds for my cell phone, I still don't know how to use them and it's been a year. How long does it take for a donkey to really understand that my hand here means to put your foot there? I don't know the answer to that, but it's quicker than me learning how to use my earbuds.
And yeah, so building on that, so I use the analogy of trying to get your donkey to count to 10. You don't want to try and count to 5 until they can count to 4 really easily. But now you got a donkey, your donkey is stuck at 4 and is beginning to shut down. Here's where you do the donkey a favor. Change it up. Go to a different task that they're really good at. Go ahead and have them go do ABC. Let's say they don't ABC the alphabet really well. Have them go do a task they're really good at.
Oh yeah, okay, so I got the halter and leading going well, and I want to move to putting the saddle blanket on. Heck yeah,
Oh,
I would.
fun. That's fun.
So when you're doing that, I would practice the leading review. Always start off reviewing what they already know because that's building up their confidence, okay? And then you're gonna go to the saddle blanket, introduce it some. I would definitely use pay for that, I do. And then I would go back to what they already know. So that way you're starting with, this is what you know, you build up, now I'm starting to get stressed, and now let's come back down with what you already know. That's gonna help them feel good around you.
Introduction to the saddle pad. Your first session, it might simply be you're in the pen with them in that saddle pad, depending on the donkey's comfort level. I don't think you're going to go run in there and just throw it on their back real quick.
Depends on how much trust they have. Some of
Yeah.
them you can, and then other ones, no way. But I would use pay, and you could, if you're doing target training, like nose, you can have them target the saddle pad, and then give them pay, and then start touching them, or maybe if you bring it here like you're gonna touch them and they're nervous, then just pull it away and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I see you were nervous."
Yep, lots of advance and retreat, but don't actually touch them.
Yeah.
And you're at a fun stage. Saddle blanket, at the point that you're thinking of that, you feel comfortable with it. You've got a pretty good relationship started with your donkey, so it should go smoothly. Just don't expect it to go smoothly. Just go slower than you need to.
Absolutely. Maybe tomorrow's topic should be introducing the saddle and the pad. That could be a good topic. All right, guys. Let's see, a motivation part. I've done some books. I did a link in the original one, and I'll have to relink things in this one. But Evidence-Based Horsemanship is an excellent book. It really gets to the science behind it. Now, of course, it says horsemanship. However, a donkey and an equine, they both learn the same way. It's just that one freezes and one is more likely to bolt, right? So that's kind of the book motivation. But then the other thing is like, have a group of people, like get together, go to each other's houses, or like meet on Zoom or something. Like you can do Zoom for 30 minutes for free without paying for it. So like I'm participating in the Ty Evans Masterclass, and we would meet every week for 30 minutes and just talk about what we're working, what we're doing well, what's challenging, and then get ideas from more like-minded people. And, so be accountable with somebody. I think that's a great thing to help stay motivated. There's plenty of times where I'm like, I don't want to go down to the barn, or Dan doesn't want to go down to the barn because of life or the weather, but then the other one does. And there's never a time I've gone down to the barn and like, gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. Like, I love being at the barn.
It's kind of like, I don't want to go to the barn. MaryJo's like, come on, let's go to the barn. I'm like, oh gosh, I got a headache, I'm hungry, and my toe hurts. but I get coerced into going on to the barn. Next thing you know, I'm having the time of my life. So you never regret going to the barn.
Absolutely. So that's my motivation. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow would be saddle. See if I have, and then we're also officially, we're a forever branded adoption center now, guys. So like these 8 that we just bought home, sweet thanks, y'all have been instrumental. I'm glad. I'm so glad.
Thanks for the kind words.
So the Forever Branded Adoption Center, you can come here and pick out your donkey. And if you want it untrained, you can do that. Or if you want us to tip train it for you, then we can do that, right? It's not called tip training anymore. Now it's a branded partner. But you have options. And right here in Montana, you can come get your wild donkeys.
Get your wild donkeys here in central Montana, and be a great vacation and a great life pet.
Oh my gosh, yes. Road trip, yes, absolutely.
Heck yeah, love to have you.
Now, speaking of road trip, guys, we are in the early stages of launching our first week-long donkey training camp. So that's what the road trip is about. So keep that on your list, and hopefully we'll get more details figured out this week, and we'll be able to post it at least by the end of the month is my goal.
I would think that's a pretty reasonable goal. Yeah. We're still working on time frame, costs, expenses. It's got to make sense for everyone involved.
Yep.
So we're still doing the math part of that. But I think it's going to come together really good. We've got a really beautiful setting here, and a lot to offer y'all. And I'd love to see you come up and stay with us for a week and go home with a couple of donkeys.
Fred's mom just said, yeah, let's do it. You guys, Fred is like the most beautiful donkey in the whole world. He's like 16 hands, still growing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I haven't met him. I saw the pictures. Your donkey is gorgeous. And we have a new donkey we haven't talked about yet. But I think her and Fred are going to be pals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She can't be started under saddle for a long time, but you could come here. Well, you're already starting him under saddle. But
we've got a 1.5-year-old mammoth, Jenny, who's already 14 hands.
He is majestic.
Yeah.
And they're hilarious.
Yeah, the big lovers. They're great. I love them all, big and small.
Big and small, yes. Yes, absolutely. Yep. They all have a purpose, whether it's just to love on them because they're cute, or you're using them for packing or riding, or a beer burro.
Yep.
Well, maybe you guys can come at the same time. Oh my gosh, yeah, he's huge, 16 hands.
Yeah.
Have you measured him lately? Maybe he's growing more, because donkeys, the big ones, grow till they're like 8 years old. And so I believe he's 5 years old, so he could get even bigger.
No, there's a picture of Honk and him together.
Honk and Fred.
Yeah. Honk, yeah, and Fred he didn't make Honk look as big as she actually is. Honk's 15 hands. She's a big donkey, and she's next to Fred, this giant donkey. Yeah, just gorgeous.
He is 5 years old. Yes. Well, all right, guys. Let me know in the comments if there's any ideas that you have for tomorrow. I'm thinking about saddle stuff, or the sky is our limit. We can talk about whatever we want, whatever you guys want to talk about.
You bet.
All right. You guys have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow, 6:30. Thanks for tuning in.
Happy Friday, guys.
Yeah, happy Friday.